Hello everyone, so this is a Minecraft video. I don't really do Minecraft videos anymore on this channel. If you've been here for a long time, you know that that used to be a really big thing on this channel. If you want to see what I've been doing in Minecraft, you can head over to Air of Azrael's channel and see all the cool builds we've been doing. And I'll put that in the description. So yeah, I've always been playing Minecraft, and one of the things I've been really wanting from the game is some new lighting to really make it look significantly better. They added a ray tracing mode, which looks incredible, has its own downsides, but it still looks like the best thing that they have so far. But I was hoping for the more lightweight version so that everyone could have a better looking version of the game that just looks better across the board and allows creators to do more with lighting. We've been stuck with like the same kind of yellowish lighting for the longest time, and there's not really much you can do with the lighting. So yeah, I've been waiting for the vibrant visuals for a long time, and I just want to say that like I've always been a huge defender of Mojang. There's a lot of things that fans complain about that I think are really stupid, like how the updates just aren't really Minecraft anymore, or the music doesn't sound the same anymore. A lot of these criticisms I find really stupid because it's just kind of nostalgia, and you're just kind of not really allowing the game to evolve. And so I'm always in defense of Mojang, or at least most of the time I'm in defense of Mojang. And so when the vibrant visuals came out and there was a trailer and there was a little bit of skepticism about it, I was the first to defend it. I thought this was such a great idea. I thought especially the caustics that you're seeing right now looked incredible. And one of the things that I love most about the vibrant visuals right now is the reflections. That is the number one thing that I like about this. Like this looks really cool. It is screen spaced. You can see that as I block the grass behind this sandstone block, you can see that it can no longer see what's behind it. It's not doing any ray tracing, it's screen space. So it's kind of taking what's already rendered on the screen and using it as a reflection map, which I don't mind at all. I think that's a perfectly fine shortcut, and this just looks incredible. The caustics look incredible, and the way that the lighting glistens and animates is the best thing that they've done for this pack. There are other things they added. They added a little bit of atmosphere. It's not really that crazy or noticeable. There's really bad color banding in the sky. I'm not sure how they released this without fixing that, but it's there. There's also bloom, and there is a color grading effect, which it's not really color grading, it's more just like turning up the vibrancy of everything at the same time, which causes a lot of issues, but looks good in survival at least. But I want to talk about what disappoints me a lot about this. Let me explain how the lighting works in this. I'm not a huge technical person. I am a game designer, so I know a little bit about this stuff, but I've never made a render engine from scratch, so I'm not a super big authority on this. But the lighting that they're using for the sun and moon, which is the only basically light source in the game that does do these shadows that you're seeing right now, the lighting that they're using is called deferred rendering. And basically, the way this lighting works is that, as compared to forward rendering, where the renderer basically goes to each object in an array and it calculates all of the lights in the scene based on that object. So it adds like a shadow on this side of the object, or blah blah blah, or you know, the object is casting a shadow here. It goes to every single object and calculates the lighting of all of the surrounding point lights or lights in the space. And that actually takes quite a while, but it does support transparency because you're kind of rendering each object at a time. You can know which object is behind the other. Deferred rendering, on the other hand, basically it is rendering the entire scene, the entire image that you're seeing, and instead of rendering per object or calculating the lights per object, it calculates the light for the entire scene. It does not understand what the materials are, it does not understand what the colors are, or any of that. It doesn't even know what reflections are in the scene at the time. All of that stuff has to be added afterwards as sort of a mask over top things. It also does not support transparency, but there are ways to kind of get around that. Okay, I wanted to record this part again because I did not, I was doing this unscripted, so I didn't really explain deferred rendering very well. The idea I'm trying to get across here, like the downside of it, is that it's like flattening the image. So you no longer have individual objects in the render buffer. Basically, it shortcuts it. You render the entire geometry and all the normals, but it's flattening it into a single image. There's not like layers of like this object's in front of this object and like you can take the normals behind another normal. It is straight up literally flattening it all into one image, and then it calculates the lighting from each point light in the entire scene. The point lights are basically doing lighting based off of this flat geometry pass in the G buffer, which basically just flattens everything. Like what you're seeing here is basically what the G buffer sees. It doesn't really see anything else. And so it's kind of similar to screen space lighting in the sense that like the reflections are not entirely accurate because it can't see behind things. And this is why you can't have transparency, because if you made a single part or a single object transparent, like there is no information behind that object. It was all flattened down at some point. So Minecraft is using deferred rendering, and deferred rendering with this lighting approach, it's the fact that you don't have to go through each object or each block and render the shadows. It's just rendering the shadows for the entire kind of image that we're seeing. It means that you can put a lot more lights in the scene. And usually the rendering technique, deferred rendering, is used for scenes that have hundreds or thousands of lights in them because there's just so many lights. On a forward renderer, it's just really, really slow to have hundreds of lights at a time, and you need to implement some kind of culling system for lights. I think it's understandable because it's, there's the blocks or the voxels that you're seeing, I guess, are considered the objects. And so they pick deferred rendering because they don't want to iterate through each block. They want to iterate through just the single scene and then add the, I guess, textures over top of it. So the lighting that you're seeing here is a mask. It's sort of just being applied over top the original lighting. I personally find it disappointing that only the sun and the moon, which are effectively the same light source, those are the only light sources in the game. Literally. They are the only light sources that will actually produce a shadow. And I will show you this in action. I mean, I'm sure you've already noticed this. But if you're not in the daytime or in the nighttime or exploring out in the wilderness when there are shadows, you're pretty much experiencing the same game. I'm looking for the hole I made. Which again, like, this stuff looks awesome. I love the pixelated shadow look, but it's so limited. Because if I go here, I mean, this is the same exact radius lighting from before. And of course, they've improved this radius lighting over time in the base engine. Like at one point, and especially if you look at really old gameplay, the radius lighting was very obvious block to block. Like it would be super obvious, like it was getting darker from block to block. But they added a smoothing algorithm of some sort to fix that, and they added ambient occlusion, which was unique to Minecraft Bedrock for a while. But again, as you can see here, what's happening is the shadows are a mask. They're not really the actual lighting system in the game. This is not producing any lighting here. And I'm going to move over to the beta version of the game because you can actually turn on shadows for point lights like that lantern. So if you go into the Minecraft preview and you turn on the Render Dragon add-on, which is only available in the preview, let me turn off the music because I don't know why that's on. You will actually have point light shadows. So if I look here, and you'll have colored lights as well. You can see that I have a shadow, and you can see that it casts a shadow on this wall. Very, very cool. But you can still tell, like, okay, there's a shadow, but the original lighting is still there. You can see that if I go over here, I mean, this should be pitch black. Absolutely pitch black. But it's not. I mean, you can turn on their brightness, but I don't think that's really affecting much of anything. And so you have this. And this isn't just, this isn't just ambient lighting or just lighting that's just kind of there across the board so you don't have pitch black areas. This is the original lighting coming from that lamp. This orangish color is coming from that lamp. It's not making it a different color. It is literally doing two different lighting techniques on top of each other. And when the shadow ends and the lighting ends, you're just in the original lighting again. Now, the reflections, again, the reflections are the best part of this. It looks incredible. Sometimes it looks like the ray tracing version. And the reason I say the lighting, the reflections are so good is because it's global. It happens everywhere. There's no trickery or like it blending between an old system. There were no reflections in the old system. This is a global thing that's happening that just is everywhere, and it looks great. If I go over to other things, so this is a point light. This is considered a point light. So anything like a torch will emit a shadow. But you'll notice that other lighting sources, which are the majority of lighting sources in the game, like lava, do not have shadows. They do not emit any lighting. They only emit the old lighting. There is zero shading coming from it. Another issue that I've seen with this version is the auto exposure is ridiculous. It's way too high. Basically, it means like if you're looking at a bright object like lava or, you know, a sea lantern, you can just see the surrounding brightness just absolutely dim, and it just looks, it's way too much. It's way too intense. It looks like you're loading up Unreal Engine for the first time. If we go over here, you can see it's the same with sea lanterns. There is no lighting on the sea lanterns at all. But with other lights, like this looks really good. Like redstone torches, which the exposure on this, Jesus, that is intense. But again, this is also going to be rendering that same kind of orangish light eventually. As the colored light fades off from the new lighting system, the old lighting system is still there. It's still present. Like you can see there's that yellowish light there. And so it's disappointing because even in the preview, it's not amazing. I mean, I definitely would prefer having these, you know, colored lights that are pretty cool, which by the way, one thing that's still not here that is kind of a product of the limited nature of this lighting system is there's no colored lights through walls. There's no you know, colored glass lighting. You know, you can't tint the lighting, or nothing in the environment is going to affect the lighting, which maybe that's something that's only limited to ray tracing, but I just thought I'd point that out. You know, even with these, like, that is just not going to happen. Like, it doesn't matter. I find this really odd because also with this lighting that I prefer would be in the base game as an option is really unstable. Like I've had to turn down my render distance a lot, and you can like downscale the screen because this lighting setup with the point lights doesn't even run super well in the preview, which is crazy because this deferred lighting is specifically meant for a ton of lights. It just sucks that we're stuck with the old system. They literally built this lighting system off of the old one, like kind of like a band-aid that they're putting on top of the old system. Now, I'm in a interior location. Ooh, crazy glitch. And generally speaking, like if you're not paying attention, it just looks like the old version. But the only thing that's saving this, you know, there is zero lighting. This is the base version, so there's no point light lighting or anything. There is zero lighting difference from this version of Minecraft to the old version of Minecraft right now. There is zero shadows in this entire map at the current moment. Only thing saving it is the reflections. The reflections look great, and they're like pixelated. It just looks awesome. I love the reflections. It's the only thing that makes this really stand out to me, that makes me feel like this is, you know, if they expand this pack, they don't have to change anything about the reflections. The reflections were just a great idea from the start. They did what they needed to do with the reflections. They did the hard work, and it paid off. Like, this is exactly what you should do. This is the most efficient way of doing the reflections. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. I'm sure there's some kind of technical reason that they couldn't do an entirely new lighting system. But overall, like, the lighting is just a very big disappointment. And another issue that I've seen brought up is the vibrancy of certain colors. Like, generally speaking, I love that the game is more vibrant. I always saturate. Like, if I'm making a game, I go to post-processing, always turning up the saturation, always. But they needed to add a saturation across different color spectrums or different values, because they just turn up the colors just all the way up, despite like the reds already being pretty vibrant in the base game. So what you get is like this red here is just ridiculously vibrant. And it's just some of the reds and some of the bright colors that you see in the base game get absolutely just like they are turned up all the way. So yeah, I'm always a defender of Mojang. I like that they take their time. I like that they're not just abusing their workers and like just bending the knee to every gamer's will and just like working them like they're in a factory. But at the same time, this is Microsoft. This is a company that has billions of dollars, and this is one of their biggest selling games, if not their biggest selling game ever. And the fact that they can't put aside a team to figure out an entirely new lighting system. I'm not sure if this was internally made or how this was constructed, but I find it crazy that, you know, this multi-billion dollar company, if not $1 trillion company, couldn't actually figure out a solution to this. When you have that much money, you find a solution. And I feel like this was a solution that isn't super duper hard to find because it's voxels. Everything's already put inside of preset grids that you can check in an array super easily. It felt like they were being held back. Like they could barely implement this system. That's what it feels like to me. And it's just really disappointing. So that's pretty much it for this video. I wanted to kind of show off the things that I didn't particularly like. I'm glad the lighting exists. I think it might as well be here. I think it'd rather be here than not. I think it definitely makes the game look better. I like the bloom. I like the reflections especially. I like that there's certain glowing bits of certain blocks now. I think that's great. But generally speaking, I really thought there was going to be more to this. I saw the trailer and I thought there was going to be shadows for every single light in the game. I really thought that they were overhauling the lighting, not just adding a shadow filter over top of the game that we already have. And maybe that's Pocket Edition holding it back. I really don't know. I really don't know, but I really wish it was different. So let me know what you guys think. I'm not sure if other people have talked about this. I don't follow Minecraft channels. I don't follow any news channels of any sort. So I don't know if this really is in the discussion, but I find it disappointing. So do you guys find it disappointing? And that's pretty much it.